자, 김용태 대표님에게 게임이란 무엇인가요?
저한테 게임은 모든 것이죠.
모든 것.
예.
오.
저는 게임을 만드는 것 외에 취미가 없습니다.
게임 개발 덕후다.
그래서 제 인생의 모든 것이기 때문에 허투루 할 수 없는 이브와 니켓 모든 걸 쏟아부을 예정입니다.
So it's a tale of two developers, one with Shift Up developing an amazing game that's attracting a large audience like Stellar Blade, and we have Pokemon Go, which is reducing their audience through restrictive gameplay practices where they're trying to observe the feelings of different marginalized groups while ignoring the majority of the fans that actually play these games. And I think this is the obsession that we're seeing in the modern day Western development sphere, where we're getting obsessed with the reactions and obsessions with people on social media and ignoring the regular everyday game player that is actually interacting with your games. And I think these two video games and these two companies, one Niantic and Shift Up, are displaying the heavy discrepancy between two developers that both think they're placating to the fans, but in actuality only one of them is going to make a profit from their games. And I think surprisingly it's going to be the small developer in Korea, Shift Up, with its new game Stellar Blade, which is having pre-orders out of this moon and just getting attention from a majority fan base that's just desperate for something that is as freeing and creative as Stellar Blade. And I think that's what we're seeing with this game as it's being produced and more images are being revealed. People are excited about this game for what it is. It's a developer that is dedicated to making good games, and you have programmers and you have smart people that actually love gaming making a game. And I think that's not happening at other developers, specifically Pokemon Go and Niantic. You even see it specifically with their hiring practices. They're hiring people that are more focused on social political goals rather than making a great game. You can see this directly with some of their job listings. They're looking for Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Social Responsibility, who's going to get paid over $200,000 a year to actually oversee the game's aesthetic, look, and appeal to marginalized communities, which sounds nice and good, but where's the attention to gaming? And we all know about Pokemon Go and all the other Niantic properties when it comes to Pokemon. All of those games are terrible. So bad that Pal World, a game developed by a small community of developers, overshadowed everything Pokemon has created for the past 15 years. And I think this is the thing that we're seeing that is developing within Pokemon and all these big AAA companies, where they don't have the developers there anymore that have the creativity and ingenuity to make something that is appealing to the fans. We have social activists, we have political activists, we have people that want to impose their own ideological points of view and thoughts in gamings and impress that on the customer base and hoping that sticks. And I think that is not the point of view of a developer. You can see that with the Shift Up developer. When they ask him, why are you in gaming, he just says, I love games, I like making games, I like producing things people like to play. And that's the type of passion that is devoid within the Western development sphere for a long time now. And I think you get to see that with Pokemon Go and its overall perspective on building characters overall and looking at what the customer base actually wants and actively avoiding that. People within the Pokemon community have been asking for a game like Power World for decades, and they haven't been getting it consistently because Pokemon and Niantic are focused on different things. They're focused on social political activism right now, and they're not really focused on pleasing the customer base. And I think that is the main thing that we're seeing. The difference between Shift Up and Niantic is that we're getting a developer here with Stellar Blade that is only focused on making good games. And you can see that in his interview where he's, this is all I do for my life. This is what I want to do. I want to make something people are enjoying and dedicating their passion towards. And I think that is the obsession that we're not having anymore now that most of the game developers have been kicked out of positions of power. We have finance, we have business guys, we have social political activists taking hold of the video game industry and bringing it into a place of social political activism where we're not focused on having fun anymore. We're not focused on fantasy or science fiction. We're focused on ideological politics when it comes to gender neutral pronouns or overall identity, and we're trying to inject that in the game. And it's not about the video games anymore. It's about how can I teach you to be different, and and how can I influence your mind. And I think this comes back to overall governmental and activist control of the ideological space right now. People want to control the minds of younger people, and the best way to do that is through gaming. And I think they realize that, and now you're having a lot of this social programming injected in games without the gaming aspects. And I think that's what Pokemon Go and Niantic, that's what these companies have become and churned into because of this infiltration through maybe investment banks and other activist organizations, and they're forcing their ideological patterns within the video game space. And now you have the product showing right here with Niantic, who's reducing the overall looks of their characters to match this LGBTQ gender neutral friendly stance that is being paraded within the video game industry, where they have done this before. I talked about this with Naughty Dog. They mentioned this directly, like we're doing this because we want to be gender neutral. We're removing the femininity from a lot of the characters because we want to be kinder to people that are not feminine and they're trying to be feminine. And it's understandable to do that, but when you're neglecting the majority of your customer base to do that, and you're chastising them and calling them bigots and racist, yeah, you're doing the wrong thing there. You can say you're doing this to be kind, but people can point out, okay, this is not that appealing anymore because you did this. And I think that is a fair assessment from people that are playing these games, where you're removing the aesthetic appeal of things from the product. And I think people can point that out, and we see this removing of aesthetic appeal throughout the decades, where we see this happening in art and architecture, where aesthetic beauty has been ripped apart from a lot of things. And I think seeing it happening in video games makes it even more of a cultural socialist point of view, where we're removing things of the past that we deem beautiful and we're making them ugly. And I see this happening in the video game sphere, and it's wondrous not to see it happening in some parts of the world, specifically Korea, where they're really holding up on doing what they want to do with these games. You can see this with the interview right here with the Shift Up CEO, and when he's talking about games, he's talking about his passion. And I think that is the thing that is glaringly obvious when you see some of these ideologies enter the space with these passionless points of views and overall character arcs for these new people they want you to see as representations of the ideal. And their representations of the ideal person is someone with no shape, no curves, no appeal, and overall mannish and manly. And I think that's what you see in a lot of these screenshots of these characters. It becomes something that is just, I don't even know if this appeals to the broad base of gamers, but it seems like they're going for such a minority push of a fan base that they're pushing away the entirety of the fan base. And I think that's what we're seeing in the gaming industry, where it's not even about making money anymore. It's about politics and maintaining those politics throughout your gaming experience at the cost of story, character, or design. It doesn't matter. We need to maintain those politics. And I think that is the difference between Shift Up and Niantic and any other developer in the sphere right now. Shift Up is trying to make something gamers actually like, while every other video game producer in the field is trying to make something you have to believe in. No one's trying to play video games to believe in anything, really. We're playing to have fun, and I think that is the glaring point that is being missed out within the Western world. But that's just my thoughts on the situation. Tell me what you think about this tale of two developers. We have Shift Up with Stellar Blade, which is revolutionizing the industry right now and going back to the basics of what people actually like in aesthetic beauty and amazing gameplay. Or we have Pokemon Go, which is trying to toe the political line when it comes to overall body shape and gender neutrality, and doesn't have any gameplay to speak of in any of the video games they have come out. All of them have been lambasted, and I think it just shows the differences in priority. One is focused on the pleasing the game players, and the other is trying to appease a political agenda. And I think it's obvious which one the customer base is going to be drawn to. But you tell me what you think about the situation, the tale of two video game developers and studios, and which way they're going. I think all of us want to see Stellar Blade succeed, and we're hoping that Pokemon Go fails to some extent so we can have some changes in the industry. But you tell me what your thoughts are on this situation. Do you think Stellar Blade is going to shake up the industry, or do you think Pokemon Go is going to be the status quo for the time being? You leave your thoughts, comments, like, share, and subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.